Good morning, VC. It's Steve Whitty here again with, I think, volume 47 of recent finds. Again, some singles, some LPs. These are records I found mainly in the pound bins, apart from one record which cost me £2. Might have mentioned in my last video I had to get a plumber out, and that hit my expenses for the month, so sort of limited my budget a little bit. But I hope everything's well for you. I'm just about to enjoy a week off work, so. But enough of me prattling on. Let's start off with the singles that I picked up. Now these I picked up in the British Heart Foundation shop in Solihull, where I work, and I don't see singles featured too much with some people. Some people just go for the albums. Singles I've got no problem with, because sometimes I'm just in the mood just to play a few singles rather than just listen to a whole album. So first up, I found Marvin Gaye. You can see that I heard it through the grapevine. This is the original, not a reissue. I know it was reissued several times, particularly in the 80s, where it was used to sell jeans. This one record I found, really pleased to find. It's Look Through Any Window by the Hollies. It's probably my favourite Hollies song, co-written by Graham Gouldman. He also supplied on Bus Stop, released in 1965. Really pleased to find this. As I say, this is my favourite Hollies record. Something on the old Psych, which belonged to Mr. C.J. Noble at some point. That's Lemon Piper's Green Tambourine. Hit for him 67, 68. I think pretty much a one-hit wonder. But after singles, the one I was really pleased to find, and I found this last Friday. It's Mott the Hoople and Roll Away the Stone. I believe Mott the Hoople are the missing link between glam rock to punk. I think they're that seamless link. I think the influence of many punk bands, that this particular band, and particularly on Sunday we lost Pete Overend Watts, who's finally left us. And it's just a great record. Any Mott the Hoople I can see I'll pick up. I just think they're just an amazing band. I regularly listen to them on my commute to work. So that's with the singles. Now these albums were from my local record store. As I said, they're either £1 or, as indicated, £2. Oh, and I'll point out that one. So I picked up a copy of the ABBA Waterloo album. This is a 80s reissue. The Epic label there. It's very much sort of like tied in with the Eurovision. You can see the costumes. They were the costumes they wore when they won the Eurovision Song Contest in 1974. Held at Brighton. You've got your Napoleon Bonaparte figure there. Quite some interesting tracks on here. You've obviously got Waterloo, and you've got the Honey Honey and Ring Ring, but you got some quite interesting King Kong song and Dance While the Music Goes On. And What About Livingston? It's quite something. If you listen to ABBA albums, there's always a couple of tracks you think, yeah, maybe there was a bit more of a rockier band trying to get out of the pop persona. Next album, Aztec Camera's Love album. This came out in 1987. This is very much, at this time they'd gone pop. This is a very good 80s pop album. I think the Indie Pretense had gone by then. And the best known track on here is Somewhere in My Heart. As I said, to find this for £1, okay, damn it, the covers probably could do with a clean up, and you can see the ring wear there. But it plays. I'm really pleased to find that. Next album, I like my pop music. Again, I picked this up, Boney M's Love for Sale. Again, Boney M could throw a few tracks on their album. You know, Night Flight to Venus, they cover of Creation's Painter Man. And on this album, they got the hit singles Mar Baker and Belfast, which I couldn't quite fathom out. But on this, you've got they cover John Fogerty's Have You Seen the Rain, and they also do the Still I'm Sad, which is the Yardbird song, which I believe was the B-side to Mar Baker. Only thing about the album, I think the covers are very much a bit of its time, Love for Sale, and I'm not really sure you'd get away with that now, particularly with the fact with the chains as well. You know, I think it's the first thing when I saw it was slavery. You know, probably a little bit sits a little bit uneasy. Music's great though. Next album up. Now I've mentioned about Music for Pleasure before reissues, and this one is another one. This is with a little help from my friend Joe Cocker. This came out. Yeah, I'm trying to think when it came out. Probably about 1972, 73. It doesn't actually say. Actually, Discogs doesn't say when it came out. The cover does look like it's a bit like coloured in by painted by numbers, and you just got your felt tips and coloured it in. But on the album, it's all cover versions. So you've got Bye Bye Blackbird, I Shall Be Released, That's Your Business, Bird on a Wire, Just Like a Woman, Sandpaper Cadillac, Dear Landlord, Something, Changing Louise, Don't Let Me Be Misunderstood, Lordy Miss Claudie, and obviously the well-known track with a little help from my friends. So yeah, really pleased to find that. A good compilation, plays really well. Another compilation album I picked up. This is from the 80s. This is the Isley Brothers' greatest hits. This came out in 1988 on the Telstar label. Telstar had pretty much taken on what K-Tel and Ronco had done in the 70s and arcade. You've got a mixture here of it covers all eras, and you've also got a couple of Jasper Isley. You know what I mean? And I think it sort of cashed in on a little bit on the fact that Caravan of Love had been a big hit for the number one for that House Martin. So you got a bit of everything here. You know, from This Old Heart of Mine, Behind a Painted Smile's my favourite Isley Brothers song. It's up there in my top 20, I think. Very dark record. Very dark record with that classical opening and then the ending with just the drums banging in. Harvest for the World, Summer Breeze, Who's That Lady? Yeah, just a great album. I'm really pleased to pick that up. This is the album that cost me £2. It's John Lennon's Mind Games. Not in the greatest condition. Cover's good, but the record plays. I'm pleased with it. Very nice album. You can see a little bit of water damage on the cover there. Yeah, I like the album. I know it gets a bit of bad rap, and I know this is an Apple pressing. Towards the 70s, let's see, Apple there. Towards the end of the 70s, it ended up on the Music for Pleasure label. And it was deemed at the time, Music for Pleasure was sort of like a bit of a come down, because they were sold cheaper. Vinyl was pressed, wasn't great. It was a lot thinner, but you know, it meant the album was still out. Don't forget, the 70s, if an album you weren't selling or your band had split up, albums were deleted. This is why some albums are so expensive to get hold of, because they're scarce. Now, it's very rare you find in the pound bins a lot of albums by a particular band. Now, in this case, I found 3 from this band, Lindisfarne. Fog on the Time. This is their biggest album. You've got a gatefold cover, and it's on the pink Charisma label. You've got obviously Fog on the Time, which is the big hit single. Meet Me on the Corner. Passing Ghosts, All Right on the Night, Together Forever. This, I read, was the biggest selling UK album in 1972. So at this point, Lindisfarne had become very popular. They followed it up with probably a darker record, Dingley Dell, but you can see the cover is very sparse. And you've got on the album sort of like tracks like Bring Down the Government, Poor Island. Alan Hull was probably the most politically active of the band. He was a very committed socialist. No hit singles. I mean, it was a top 10 album, followed up. But then by then, I think the rot had started to set in a little bit with the band. 73, they brought out Lindisfarne Farm Live. This was recorded in Newcastle City Hall in December 1971. Why it took so long to come out, I'm not sure. But you've got like the hits, Meet Me on the Corner, Bogging the Time. The only one that didn't feature was Lady Eleanor for some reason. We Can Swing Together is probably the crowd pleaser. And they were very much playing to a home crowd, obviously come Christmas. And it was a tradition they followed up when they got back together, playing an annual Christmas concert in Newcastle. Very, not afraid to say they're from Newcastle. The accent, Geordie boys and all that. Next album I picked up for £1. It's a copy of Steve Miller's The Joker. The title track's probably the most well-known track. Probably didn't do well at the time. Again, released on the back of a jeans advert, became a #1 single in 1988 for him. You've got here, it's a mixture of some live tracks and some studio tracks. You've got Sugar Babe, Mary Lou, Shuba Da Do Mama Mama Mama, Your Cash Ain't Nothing But Trash, Joker, Loving Cup, Come In My Kitchen, Evil, Something to Believe In. It's my first Steve Miller album. And obviously where I've got Greatest Hits compilation on CD somewhere. But it's probably somewhere I probably need to explore a bit more. I've been known to see a copy of Sailor floating around for about £4. I might give that a go. Almost to the end of the video. A couple of compilations here. And this one, Street Level 20 new wave hits on the Ronco label. These compilations try to cram as much in as they could on an album, and you'd probably find that sometimes you get shortened versions of the tracks, or the tracks don't go as long. This is the case in some, but you've got Sex Pistols' Pretty Vacant, No More Heroes by Stranglers, Brass in Pocket by Pretenders, Reason to Be Cheerful Part 3 by Injury, Circus Games and Skids, Have You Ever Fallen in Love, The Buzzcocks, Sweetheart Contract Magazine, Butcher Baby, Plasmatics, Public Image Limited, Denny, Blondie, sort of standard fare. On the B-side, you've got Someone's Looking at You, Boomtown Rats, 2468 Motorway, Tom Robinson, We Are Glass, Gary Newman, Underpass, John Fox. And this is where these compilations, especially when you do a genre, whether it be disco, soul, funk, punk, new wave, they'll throw something in that makes you go, you sure? A Walk in the Park by the Nick Straker Band made me think that. Then you've got Making Plans for Nigel XTC, Valley of the Dolls, Generation X, Sound of Suburbs, Members, Banana Splits and Dickies, and you always find me at the kitchen at parties, Jonah Louis. And finally, to finish off, this, I was really pleased to pick this up for £1. This is the sound of the R&B hits compilation album on the Stateside label, and this is basically Motown before Motown came over in the UK. So you've got here Mary McWells, Marvelettes, Martha and the Vandellas, The Miracles, the Supremes are on here. Just absolutely stonking, and the vinyl is not too bad in the state either. Yeah, really pleased to pick this up for £1. Good introduction to Motown, as Motown didn't exist at that time in the UK. So that is my vinyl find for this week. So hope all is well. I'm going to spend the week trying to do the vinyl haul. So until the next video, take care.